It was the middle of May, just a few days after we arrived in France, when we noticed a field near our house had just been planted. Rows of turned soil with some pops of green, but nothing to tell us what it would become yet. For weeks, nothing happened, or at least nothing we could see. You can call it a coincidence, but that field had a beautiful sunset spot. It was divided in two, on one side soil, on the other wheat, still green by then. And because we hadn't seen one up close, we would only find out they were wheat later. But it had such a calming effect looking at them move with the wind while the sun painted the sky that we went there every day during sunset, like clockwork. Every time we were standing there, I kept hoping they would become sunflowers. It's strange how much faith it takes to keep believing something that gives you nothing back for days, or weeks, or months, or years. I might not be talking about flowers, but I digress. Then, slowly, things started to change. Stalks showed up tall with big leaves, and that was the confirmation I needed. Just a few more days now. Buds appeared, tight and green, like they weren't ready to be seen yet. And one morning in the last week of June, they opened. We caught the first blooms around June 23rd, and by June 29th, every single flower in that field was standing at full height, facing the same direction like an audience that had finally taken its seats. We tried photographing at sunset for days. Golden hour, warm light, except French summer had other plans. Heatwaves pushed past 40 degrees for weeks, and trust me when I say it's unbearably hot. Between work deadlines and the heat making it hard to leave the house at all, we kept postponing. There's always tomorrow, we told ourselves. The season had just started. Surely there was still time. Isn't it funny how easily we take things for granted, assuming they'll still be there once we finally make time? But just like all magical moments are fleeting, so is sunflower season. It doesn't wait for you to be ready either. By July 4th, many flowers had already begun to wilt. After trying their best to survive temperatures so high their soils cracked, they hung their heads down, losing their petals and giving up on the sun that gave them their name in the first place. That's when we rerouted our plans and switched to sunrise instead. Waking up before dawn turned out to be a small price to pay for the magical moments that followed. On July 10th, we found the most perfect sunflower field I've seen. Every flower facing us like the perfect golden summer we dreamed of, as if it had been waiting just for us. Did you know that in French they're called Tournesol, which literally means turns with the sun? Young sunflowers actually do this, turning their heads east to west throughout the day. Once they mature, they stop moving and face east for good. Now, watching a whole field of them do this at once in perfect unison is something photos or videos never quite capture. But I'm still trying to do this for you. So, if you're liking this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel so I can keep creating videos like this, and of course so you don't miss the next one. Do you want to know something else that's intriguing? I thought all sunflowers in the region would be looking similar, but on the same day, some fields were fully wilted, while others just a few kilometers away were at their absolute peak. I guess it all depends on when the farmer planted, the conditions given, and honestly, quite a lot of luck on our timing. Now it's time for the actual tips. If you're planning a summer trip through France and want to live the sunflower season dream like we did, here's what I learned. When to go. In the region of Nouvelle-Aquitaine, the first bloom started in the last week of June, peaked around the very end of June and the first days of July, and gone within about 10 days after that. Last year in Auvergne, located in the heart of France, we saw fields blooming mid-July in some towns and already wilted by July 22nd in others. So there's really no single answer. It all depends on where you are, who planted it, and when. Where to look. Skip the big cities and the highways. Sunflowers don't grow for an audience, but they will be there for those who look for them, growing the countryside, down roads you'd usually skip or rush past. Best time of the day? At sunrise or sunset. Not just because of the golden hour light, but because French summer heat can climb past 40 degrees. And trust me when I say, once again, it is unbearably hot. What I learned from something this simple? Well, if you don't know me yet, I'll confess this. I was so busy chasing the life I wanted that I wasn't even living the one I already had. So now, I'm learning to slow down enough to notice the simple things and romanticize life wherever I go. I used to plan travel itineraries around places and events that had their timing already set and controlled. Museums with opening and closing times, villages with weekend festivals. But then came sunflower season. And this time I was trying to find something that was either going to be there magnificently or disappear whether I was ready or not. I spent weeks not knowing what that field would become. Then I spent only a few days watching it become everything, and then, just as fast, watching it all fade. Some seasons of your life bloom right on time, and you happen to catch them perfectly. Others you miss by very little, and all you can do is keep trying to find the next one down the road, hoping it's not too late for that one either. So, if you're driving through France during summer and shades of yellow start filling your sight, pull over. Don't leave it for some other day or wait for the better field further down the road. This one might already be gone by the time you get there. And this might not be about sunflowers after all.